Have you ever used orphans to study an experimental vaccine?
Yes.
Have you ever used babies of mothers in prison to study an experimental vaccine?
Yes.
Have you ever used individuals under colonial rule to study an experimental vaccine?
Yes.
Did you do so in the Belgian Congo?
Yes.
Have you ever expressed that it's better to perform experiments on those less likely to be able to contribute to society?
I don't remember specifically, but it's possible. And again, I repeat that in the 1960s, that was more or less common practice. I've since changed my mind, but that was a long time ago.
Pushed us super hard to take down things that were honestly were true, right? I mean, they basically pushed us and said, you know, anything that says that vaccines might have side effects, you basically need to take down. And I was just like, well, we're not going to do that. Like, we're clearly not going to do that. I mean, that is kind of inarguably true.
Who is they? Who's telling you to take down things that
it was
that talk about vaccine side effects?
It was people in the Biden administration.
Here I am sitting in front of you 6 years later saying, who the fuck do you think you were for doing that? It is a total disgrace what you did to this country. So let me ask you an opportunity to answer one question. Will you apologize, just apologize, to the people who you harmed through your actions? Will you say, do you have the dignity to just say you're sorry?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Black children who got the vaccine on time before 36 months, that they had a study that came out in 2005. The chief author was a guy called Frank DeStefano. He's the head of the Immunization Safety Office at CDC. He had done a study of Georgia children to look at the MMR vaccine. They found out that black children who got the vaccine on time before 36 months, that they had a 2.5 times greater incident of autism than black kids who waited or who didn't get it at all. All of the authors were called to a conference room at CDC, and they were asked to bring their race-based data. In other words, all the data that revealed the race of the kids that revealed this signal. They all went into that conference room, and when they got there, there were 4 giant blue garbage cans, and they were told to dump their hard drives and all the race-based data into those garbage cans and destroy them.
I'm 19 Keys, and this is high-level conversation.
The COVID vaccine, actually now it's very disturbing. There's actually over 100 studies now that indicate there's 17 distinct mechanisms that the mRNA injections may induce cancer. In fact, 2 population studies just came out in the past year or so. 8.7 million people combined. They found the COVID shots increase your risk of 7 major cancers: bladder, breast, thyroid, colorectal, gastric cancer. All of these cancers were up. They compared vaccinated to unvaccinated. And so we're seeing these cancers. We see CDC data, over 100,000 excess cancer deaths in the United States since 2021, since the vaccines rolled out. So it's a very concerning situation.
Do you ever feel like you're the only one alive and everything else is just a projection of your mind? Well, you're not wrong, but you're also not right. Let me explain what this spiritually means. This is called solipsism, and you may have felt it like feeling you're in a big play and everyone else is just actors, or you're the only one existing and it's all in your head, or you're God, or you're the chosen one. This can be awesome or terrifying, and it can be the cause to many people's mental disturbance. When this happens, you're actually seeing through the veil because we are all one. You are me, I am you, and you are also everybody and everything. We are all the universe or God expressing itself in physical form. So yes, it is an illusion, but it's a collective illusion, not just yours. We are all God, not just you. Acknowledging this allows you to be part of the collective experience of being human. Because yes, although this is an illusion, you are here for a reason, and wanting to dissolve the illusion defeats the purpose of why you're here, which is to evolve. The illusion is not meant to be broken, but to be embraced for spiritual growth, which can only be done by also seeing the God in others and not just yourself. Otherwise, you wouldn't have split yourself into so many different pieces. So next time this happens, remember it is an illusion, but you're not the only one experiencing it. If you want to create a life aligned with your soul and your highest potential, DM me guide to learn more.
You actually were telling the truth. I do that quite a lot. Yet people are always surprised.
If it's one thing I done sat back and observed in life, it's the ones that they paint crazy, I want to talk to. Because typically, them be the ones that be holding information and be knowing some shit that will set some shit off. They really be sparing y'all asses. Y'all paint them out to be crazy so you can triangulate us so that nobody ever talks to them or believes the damn thing they say because they the crazy ones. But typically, them be the motherfuckers that be telling the truth. Them be the motherfuckers that be telling the truth. That's why I don't judge them. When y'all be saying stay away from them or they're crazy or they messy, they didn't. I want to know. I want to know. Because if they really that crazy, you'll be trying to get us some help. It's a reason why you don't want them around, because they hold some information that don't nobody else know about. And you know, they see right through your bullshit.
Go get the COVID shot?
No, I ate the COVID shot because it had AIDS in it. Ooh. A lot of people that know this game, it had fragments of HIV.
Did you go get the COVID shot?
You know ain't nobody perfect. However, the person who decides to tell you the truth and they respect you enough to not lie in your face, they pretty darn close.
Indian scientists did an analysis on the SARS-CoV-2 virus, and they said they definitely found elements of the HIV virus in the genomic sequencing. So this was confirmed by a team from India. And let me mention to you that HIV is a retrovirus. Retroviruses use mRNA to inject their stuff into the cell. And when the mRNA is injected into the cell, there is something called retrointegration that takes place. And that means that the mRNA is converted back into DNA, and then it coalesces with the chromosomal DNA of the host. So retroviruses like HIV carry an enzyme called reverse transcriptase, which changes mRNA back into DNA so it can coalesce with the genes in your nucleus. This means that when they said it's an mRNA vaccine, and they said it will only go to the ribosomes and form proteins, that's not true. It will be reconverted to DNA and affect your human genome. Wow. So Francis Boyle says this: the most dangerous biological weapon ever released on the public is SARS-CoV-2.
I'm sorry, did they just say multiple countries have an HIV epidemic?
So, 20,000 HIV cases in 4 years. Oh my god.
Did I hear them say 1 in every 100 has HIV in Fiji now?
In Fiji, we have a HIV epidemic, and I believe 1 in 100 people have HIV issues.
The province of
Canada?
Manitoba has declared an HIV a public health emergency.
Sorry, what was that? 1 million cases in Atlanta?
Y'all, they talking about it's 1 million people walking around Atlanta with HIV. It's 1 million new cases of HIV in Atlanta. And that's just the new cases. That's not the old cases.
HIV is being widespread in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Texas.
I'm sorry, did you just say South Carolina, North Carolina, Alabama, Mississippi, Texas, and a few others? Hang on, hang on, isn't that an ingredient? Hang on. Wasn't that an ingredient in the COVID vaccine?
The shape of the coronavirus spike protein before the virus meets our cells is what triggers the most protective antibody response. So Keith must make the spike protein in the lab, locking it into exactly the same shape by adding another protein that acts a bit like a clamp. And that protein is a tiny fragment of HIV.
So, I don't know if y'all know this, but that COVID-19 vaccine had HIV in it. There was a study that they performed in Australia, right? When they performed the study, they was just seeing, like, let's see what's in this COVID-19 vaccine. And so when they studied it, they found a fragment of HIV. So they found a fragment of HIV protein within the COVID-19 vaccine. This is why now HIV numbers are at an all-time high, because 80% of the population has the COVID-19 vaccine. Y'all, this is why it is so dangerous in today's times. It's so dangerous dealing with people, because most people were not conscious enough, were not aware, were not spiritually in tune, had victim mentalities and felt like everything was happening to them, and ran and got the jab. Whether it was fear, whether it was a victim, it was something that it might even be some NPC bot shit, some shit that's clearly you're not in tune and one with the creator, because everything inside me told me don't get no vaccines. I mean, I always knew not to get vaccines. When I became grown, I opted not to get any vaccines. I also never got any of my children vaccinated. I always knew there was something wrong with vaccines since I was 9 years old. And I remember my mama got me the chickenpox shot, and I asked the doctor, I said, what's in this chickenpox shot? She said, we're giving you the virus. I said, Mom, she's actually giving me the virus. She was like, your body's going to fight it off. I woke up with chickenpox the next day and never got another vaccine since. Right? So, and the vaccines are way, way more toxic now. They actually have mRNA in it, which is a messenger. It's like basically computer technology. And that's why Bill Gates was investing into vaccines and all that, because it's all connected. They want to control you. They want to control your mind. But understand, when they created genetically modified beings, when they created artificial beings, right, they created a species that they can control. So if you got the vaccine, 9 times out of 10, you're easily to be controlled. The true ones, the real ones, the chosen ones, we are not to be controlled, right? So this is why it's imperative, and it's important more now than ever, to protect your womb, protect your penis, right? Because HIV is getting spread around like wildfire, because all these people are jabbed up. And it was literally found, a fragments of the HIV protein was found in the COVID-19 vaccine in Australia. And Australia then quit giving out the COVID-19 vaccine. Here in America is where everybody's lost and actually they don't know what the fuck is going on. So yeah, I'm letting you know. That's why I'm telling people that the vaccine is being passed through sex. Not only through sex, but there's an HBI in the fucking COVID-19 vaccine. Right? So be aware, stay conscious, do your own research, love yourself, and quit getting jabbed up, and protect yourself from jabbed up being, because 9 times out of 10, they got that HIV in them.
The ones that everybody like to paint out as crazy, delusional, or retarded be the ones with the real T. Why you think they gotta call them crazy? Because when the ones that's so-called crazy start telling the truth, people jaws gonna hit the floor. Clock it.
Please be careful.
Y'all got to be careful out here. I've been posting about this. This is from 2020. There's more recent articles, and we're starting to see it circulate. It's known that they have put a HIV spike protein in this shit, in that thing, you know what. But, I mean, y'all, what I post this just for y'all to ponder, and y'all have to be careful out in these streets. You have to start asking people, have they took this, and just be more careful, because we don't know how deep this rabbit hole goes. And people like to say shit is conspiracy theories and all of that old shit. But what if we're right about a lot of shit? But y'all need to be careful with these people that have ran out here and jumped this gun, because we don't know what the outcome and what the end of how this story is going to end. But let's just say if they are, and these people do have this due to their decisions of not doing their due diligence. Like, just be careful. Like they say, silence is complicity. I researched this shit. I come across this shit, and I couldn't keep it to myself. But I put it out there just for y'all to take it, look at it, and then do the research and think for yourself. But what if this all of this shit connects? You know what I'm saying? Because it's starting to circulate, and this is becoming a topic, and it's been out there. This is from 2020, and what if they trying to cover their tracks with trying to say that, oh, well, if you have this, it didn't come from the shit that you took that we made you take. Just be careful, people. Just be careful. Be leery and be worried about who you sleep with and what you're doing out here, because this shit, we don't know. We really don't know. But like, the world has got smaller. Like, you have to ask people these real questions like, hey, have you took this, and have you had sex with anybody that has taken this? Because you don't want to be out here reckless and think that fat meat ain't greasy and this shit is real. Think for yourself and be careful. Just please be careful.
We made the movie Vaxxed to try and understand and warn the world about the real dangers of the MMR vaccine. I even vaccinated my child after I had Billy because I was so pro-vaccine and so into the system. Just the MMR was the problem. But then we got out on the bus. We took a bus and we traveled around America, listening to parents around America, what had happened to them when they vaccinated their children. And what we saw was utterly horrific. We saw so much death. So much death following baby vaccines. These parents would vaccinate their perfectly healthy child, and then their child would die. We saw a video at the beginning of this about the whooping cough. I've interviewed so many parents, and one comes to mind, Carrie Bundy's baby. At 4 months old, she pleaded with the doctor, should I vaccinate my child? He's premature. Oh, yes, said the pediatrician. If you don't vaccinate your baby, he could die of whooping cough. She vaccinated that baby, and he was dead in his crib following that. That is the same story we hear over and over again. These childhood vaccinations, the people of America are telling us they are not safe and effective. We are seriously concerned at Children's Health Defense about the disinformation and misinformation out there, being told these vaccines are safety trialed. The safety studies are so good. Yet all we see is death and destruction over and over again. Babies, teenagers, HPV Gardasil, their ovaries are shutting down. They cannot have children anymore. The parents are reporting paralysis. Children paralyzed from the waist down. You shout out about polio to us. I have never seen so many crippled children around America. So many children in wheelchairs, unable to walk, talk, speak, on ventilation. Parents are trying to tell their story while putting a feeding tube down their child's to bleed out the lungs, bring out the lungs while they're trying to tell us what has happened. 2 little 2-year-olds who can't hold their heads up because they had one Hep B vaccine. And then you shout out about measles to us. Those 2 girls in Gaines County, they did not die of measles. Children's Health Defense have seen the medical records. We have had experts break down. Yet still, I sit here and I hear over and over again that those 2 girls died of measles. They did not die of measles. And yet, the press and others consistently shout out that vaccines are safe and effective. They are, vaccinate your family. We all vaccinated our families. Everybody sitting here, bar 2, vaccinated their families with catastrophic results. Over 12,000 signatures on those 2 buses of death, death, death.
I've been trying to tell everybody that everybody you see is not a person. Like, everybody think that just because you see a human being, you think that's a human being. No, it could be something else inside of that human being. It's just portraying a human. Do y'all know what consciousness transfers are? Like, if you ever seen the movie Avatar, that shit is real. Like, consciousness transfers. You see all these damn robot movies we got where they can transfer human consciousnesses into androids and cyborgs and shit. Motherfucker, that shit real. Because they do it all the time. They've been doing it. A lot of the celebrities you see ain't fucking real. They ain't fucking real. They not. They not. Elon Musk and them giving y'all all these fake ass little low tech ass robots and shit, putting that shit straight in y'all face so it deters you from seeing what they already been doing. Bro, we been walking around with cyborgs and shit. We just ain't fucking noticed. I'm trying to tell you, that's how real the motherfuckers is. We've been walking around with artificial human beings and shit. Like, bro, all this shit is real, man. Like, this is what I be talking about. When you get on a conscious and a spiritual journey, the truth is stranger than fiction. And a lot of motherfuckers just gonna think you crazy, but they don't understand the shit that you understand. They ain't read the shit that you done read. They ain't experienced the shit you done experienced. So they just gonna think you crazy. That's the average person, though. The average person doesn't know how to venture outside of the social norms of what they was taught life is. They just don't know how to do it. So just let them think you're crazy. Because you actually the smart one.
Say Nana. 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 No, no. No, no. Pet. No. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Hi. Hi. Say my. Say my. My. Name. Name. Is. Eli. Say Eli. Eli. Say Eli. Eli. Yes. What's your name? Yeah.
That's the birthday boy? You the birthday boy? Elijah. Hello. Hello. Hi, birthday boy.
Ticks, because one of the things that PNKD does is it causes me to lose control of the muscles in my body from head to toe, as y'all seen in the other video. Another side effect of that is vasovagal syncope and orthostatic hypotension. So this video was originally intended for my doctors. It was just to show them my struggles in putting in a ponytail holder. Y'all will be able to hear my daughter ask me questions as if she needs to go get dad, and you will hear me tell her that I'm okay. And that is kind of how my voice sounds when I'm trying to speak. It's extremely hard, and sometimes I can't speak at all. This wasn't that bad of an episode though, so I was able to do a little bit. And here y'all can see that my body completely shuts down on me, as it did in the other video, because I did too much and I pushed my body too hard. And when I do have these episodes of shutting down, falling out, passing out, I don't lose consciousness. I am still conscious. I can't control the muscles in my body, so I can't prevent myself from falling, but I can feel an aura and some.
Aluminum is the primary target, it appears, that is causing perhaps the most harm in these injections, because it is a neurotoxin, right? It's not good for any bodily system, and multiple studies now link it to asthma in children. They've linked it to sudden infant death syndrome, because when you inject an underdeveloped baby with not a functional DTaC system, you keep injecting neurotoxins that does indeed, it appears, induce brainstem failure and thus apnea in sleep. They can't breathe and then they die. We have that, and then we do have 3 studies that link aluminum to autism or autism rates. So yeah, this ingredient should be removed from childhood vaccines. It has no place in there. We don't need neurotoxins in these injections.
And that weakness is weakness. Our weakness. I have witnessed them literally bypass people.
They teach you that if you vaccinate enough kids, you will eliminate or eradicate the presence of the germ. It's not true. And I'm happy to discuss this with any physician or scientist. The problem is that my viewpoints will never be discussed with someone who believes otherwise. because they don't want to be exposed for not really knowing what in God's name they're talking about. And the other major issue, which I touched on, which I really want to enforce for your listeners, is that there has never been one proper safety study on any vaccine ever. So any of the ingredients that are in shots have never been properly, appropriately, scientifically studied for safety when they're injected into children. Wow. And what's ironic here, Danny, is that the government actually admits it, but they're not going to say it enough so that the public hears it. But if you dig deep enough, you'll find that there's never been any proper safety evaluation of any of the ingredients in the vaccines. In fact, they're actually dangerous.
Wow. So, man, this is mind-blowing conversation. I hope that people are taking this in.
In the United States, the Supreme Court has ruled that vaccinated people worldwide are products. They are now patented goods. According to U.S. law, which can be verified, people who have been vaccinated no longer qualify as humans, and therefore they can no longer be categorized as human beings. In essence, this means that those vaccinated are no longer subject to national or international law. Since 2013, all people vaccinated with genetically modified mRNAs are legally transhuman and legally identified as transhuman. Then they no longer enjoy any human or other rights of a state. This applies worldwide because GenPoint technology patents are under U.S. jurisdiction and law where they were registered. So yes, this exists, but it is yet another form of dividing all of us from each other. And I certainly address all people. I address the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. And we're all in this together. And our hope is that we can retain humanity in whatever way we can as this huge onslaught that we were not prepared for. We kept believing in the mainstream media, which convinced us that it was far in the future, when really it was being set up all around us. For the last 20 to 25 years, the geoengineering piece has been a huge part of this setup. And it's been going on, and we've all believed the mainstream media account that it's about weather, it's about climate change, it's about global warming, it's about carbons, and none of it was true. It is entirely about preparing for a transhumanist.
This whole like Fauci, however you say his name, American government situation is really disturbing me, and I want to fight someone. I really do, because what do you mean we didn't have to get the COVID vaccine? And I kind of feel two ways. One, I'm kind of like upset with myself because I really wish I would have trusted God and not taken the vaccine. I really do. And I remember Tiffany Montgomery saying, do not take that poison. But I didn't take it because I was fearful about COVID. I took it because I really needed a job. And at the time, the only job that was available to me was a job in healthcare. And you couldn't work in any healthcare system and not get the vaccine. You just couldn't. Like, it was a no. And I was like desperate at this point. I had just came from a stint of like sleeping in my car for a couple of months of like, I need a job. And that was the first job that was available to me. And I took the vaccine. But as soon as I took the vaccine, my period stopped. My ovaries shut down. I went to the doctor, and the doctor's like, are you still getting your period? I'm like, yeah, well, it's like intermittent. And he's like, yeah, well, your body's functioning like a 70-year-old woman in menopause. And I was 32 at the time. And he's like, you know, the only way for you to have children is to freeze your eggs right now, try to do an IVF cycle, or donor eggs. I tried the IVF cycle from the hospital that I was working in, failed miserably, okay? I needed like 4 more rounds. And the hospital at the time only gave you like $20,000 for IVF. A lifetime cycle, because you know, depending on the cycle, it is very expensive. And I did $20,000 my first cycle, and so then the doctor's like, well, the only way that you're going to have a kid is if you get donor eggs, which I don't believe in them. I believe that God is going to do his big one when it's time for me to have children. He can do the impossible, so I'm really not worried about that part. But I'm just like, all of the things that I've been through, like my periods are so intermittent. It is really crazy. And I just don't understand how you're going to tell us right now that we never needed to get the COVID vaccine. Like, I'm going to fight you. Can I sue you? Like, I know that's rhetorical, but for real, like, crazy.
There's a special autistic relationship between black boys and the MMR shot. Measles, mumps, and rubella, that is the trigger for autism in black boys. This is known and it is a fact. So if you are raising black boys, don't give him that modern MMR shot. He'll be talking until he's 2 and never talk again.
Or not.
Well, here is what's in your childhood vaccines right now. Gelatin from boiled pigskin, kind of like the old one. Chicken embryo protein. Blood from the hearts of cow fetuses. DNA fragments from human fetuses. Oil extracted from shark livers, I mentioned earlier. Proteins from worm ovaries, because you don't want to leave that out. And, of course, DNA fragments from monkey kidneys. Now, if that doesn't sound like a Shakespeare play, you know, that eye of newt, toe of frog, lizard's leg, tongue of dog. When I hear that thing from Macbeth, I literally, can't you just picture Gates and Offit and Hotez sitting around in their witch's brew putting this stuff together? I know I'm talking fast. I'm almost done. The other modern ingredients in childhood vaccines. This is what you are giving if you trust the vaccine manufacturers. Formaldehyde, we already know that's bad. Polysorbate 80, which is linked to infertility. And my absolute favorite, potassium chloride. Why is this my favorite? Because that is the chemical that is injected as the third injection in lethal injections by executioners. Now, admittedly, infants get far less of it than people who are executing, but we really want to be injecting any amount of that into human beings. Sodium borate, Triton X, that's what's in spermicides, and of course, until very recently, ethyl mercury.
You want to know something else I done noticed? Is when you somebody who don't do shit but tell the truth, motherfuckers don't like you because of that. Like, a lot of people will just not like you just because you tell the fucking truth. What the hell is wrong with y'all? I be trying to tell people this shit all the time. 95% of the shit you believe is a fucking lie. We live in a world of deception and lies. It's so much shit the average person believes that's just bullshit, and they don't even realize it. It's like Plato's allegory of the cave. You don't even realize what you believe in is some fucking shadows on the wall. That ain't even real reality. And it's wild. Cause when you really be a truth teller, they don't like your ass. They like the lying motherfuckers. They like the motherfuckers that believe in the delusions and shit. People like that shit. And that perfectly explains why I've never felt like I belonged my whole life. It perfectly explains why even as a 3-year-old, I used to be angry all the time. It's like God put me here and already let me know that I knew something was off about this world. From a jit, I already knew this shit ain't right. Something ain't right here. And I ain't talking about God in no fucking Christian, Catholic, religious way. I ain't talking about it like that. Just God. The purest form of energy itself that is the creator of all things. It's like I knew from a jit. This shit ain't right, bro.
You gotta watch this.
The real reason they vaccinate you is because Leviticus 17:11 says that the life is in the blood. This is why they drink blood. We all know these pedophile elites are Satanists, so they know that there is power in the blood. Do you not think they use the word of God to strategize? They do. All right? This is why they have this obsession with blood, with your blood, with baby's blood. This is why they wanted to pump your veins full of the COVID vaccination. They wanted to disconnect your life force energy from the Most High and pollute you with poison. So if you want to heal from the poison that they pumped in your veins and your child's veins, then don't go to the modern medical industry, which they own. Go to the Bible. And what does the Bible say? Matthew 17:21 says that some demons only leave through prayer and through fasting. Now, they took this out of most modern Bibles because they don't want you to know the power of prayer and fasting. When you fast, What happens is the bad cells and tissues in your body eats themselves and regenerates with completely new ones. It is literally spiritual and physical regeneration. Now, number two, obviously, you don't go to the modern medical industry to heal. That's the same place that harmed you. So what does the Most High give us for healing? Not pharmaceuticals, but herbs of the earth. He says the leaves will be for the healing of the nation. He says that he has given us medicines from the earth since the beginning of time itself. And these two herbs, burdock root and sarsaparilla root, are the most potent, powerful, blood-purifying herbs on this entire earth. As you can see, both of these are open because I use them myself. And they are literally shaped like blood vessels because they are meant to help the blood, much like every other fruit on this world. So I highly recommend go fast, go pray. And if you want to heal through herbal remedies instead of pharmaceuticals, you can visit our website at flemingfruit.com. We have a mission to fight against Big Pharma. So join us and let's heal together.
So it is now a clinically proven fact that the COVID vaccines were linked to premature deaths.
The conspiracy theorists were right again. COVID mRNA vaccines caused a litany of injuries, including but not limited to turbo cancer, heart failure, extreme blood clotting.
Many of us already knew that it was the vaccines that was actually causing the deaths. But did you know there are studies that show that the virus was actually targeted to affect certain ethnic groups and for other ethnic groups to be immune?
In fact, COVID-19, there's some argument that it is ethnically targeted. COVID-19 attacks certain races disproportionately. The races that are most immune to COVID-19 are because of the structure, the genetic structure, genetic differentials among different races. COVID-19 is targeted to attack Caucasians and black people. The people who are most immune are Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese. But we don't know whether it was deliberately targeted that or not. But there are papers out there that show the racial and ethnic differential impact to that. We do know that the Chinese are spending hundreds of millions of dollars developing ethnic bioweapons, and we are developing ethnic bioweapons.
Wow. So it affected the black community. I could have told you that one. It affected the white community, but it didn't affect Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese. They were the least susceptible. What is the significance in that? And what does that have to do with this person right here, who happens to be an Ashkenazi Jew? We're gonna get into it, and I'm gonna go into more depth with my inner circle, but I cannot do it here publicly on social media. If you wanna join the conversation, head over to my Patreon page now and subscribe. I will see you guys there, and we'll finish this conversation. As always, God bless, protect, and keep you.
Today I heard a video from a Cleveland Clinic doctor talking about the vaccines and how basically when they went through medical school, they didn't need to learn anything about vaccines, basically just had to memorize the schedule. I remember back in 2020 and 2021 when we were trying to talk and warn people about the dangers of vaccines, and people's whole channels would get deleted overnight for literally no reason. Actually, it was for a reason. It was called misinformation. Only it wasn't misinformation. It was the truth that we're finding out now was the truth all along. I look back at that time thinking of all of the little codes that I had to use just to make a video. I had to, tap my shoulder when I was talking about a vaccine. I couldn't even say the word. And heaven forbid that you question a vaccine, especially the COVID vaccine, your channel was gone. So to hear that doctor today talk about vaccines and admit the fact that they don't really teach doctors anything about vaccines and the risks of them, it brought a little bit of vindication. Listen.
There is no education in medical schools that I am aware of, and being an educator at the Cleveland Clinic Lerner College of Medicine and Case Western Reserve University, I am not aware of education around vaccines, their contents, safety records, informed consent, or the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program. We do not discuss that in 1986, Congress enacted legislation removing all liability from pharma related to vaccine adverse events. What are we taught about vaccines? We are taught to memorize the vaccine schedule. And actually, I'm going to be sitting for my family medicine boards this year, and I am sure that I will have to memorize that schedule again in order to pass that exam. We don't discuss that almost $4 billion with a B has been paid to vaccine-injured patients since 1992. For medical professionals, we expect fair balance, but vaccines seem to be absolved from that consideration. Number two, there appears to be a conflict of interest regarding payments to providers for completing vaccine schedules. And a corollary to that, which would be number three, patients are being dismissed from practices because of quote-unquote vaccine safety concerns. If you bring up a question about a vaccine and you decide not to vaccinate your child, you may be at risk of being terminated from that practice. Absolutely deplorable and disgusting. Number four, and again to the Bailey family, I'm really sorry, but employers are forcing employees to receive the flu vaccine or face corrective action or job loss. And the fact that your dad was 6 months from retiring is, number five, there's a lack of informed consent. And I was one of those providers who didn't provide safety sheets before vaccinating. I would tell the parents, these are the vaccines today. We're going to give you 3 vaccines in one leg and 2 in the other. And then after vaccinating either the child or the adult patient, here's your information sheet. And again, to be completely transparent with you, I had no idea that there was even a mention of the compensation program or a telephone number to call. Absolutely deplorable on my part, and I apologize to my patients. Number 6, there's a lack of transparency regarding vaccine complications. And worse, you're being shamed as patients for suggesting that you were harmed by a vaccine. If I see a patient in the office and diagnose strep throat and give them penicillin, and either the mom or the patient themselves calls and tells me that they developed a rash, there is zero question. The chart now states they have an allergy to penicillin and will never be given it again. Why don't we believe parents and patients when they tell us they have had an adverse event regarding a vaccine? It doesn't make sense to me as a medical professional.
I watched a COVID vaccine transform my ex and neighbors into strangers.
Shred the whole neighborhood apart. I have not lived here but 2 years. But this whole 2 years, my neighbors and everything have been perfectly normal. Now, I will say one of my neighbors is disabled. She like around her 30s or whatever. But she's disabled, like she has a mental issue or a mental disorder, as they said. But she got a boyfriend and all of that, so she ain't that crazy, you know what I'm saying? And he ain't no anybody boyfriend. He a Mexican man, and he makes a lot of money. And he likes her, which means she is able to do and move in life. And I consider her a regular human being. But there's a reason I'm pointing out that she's disabled, because she's on disability. Now, why am I talking about that? Everyone that I have met here that is disabled or on disability for whatever reason has been basically pressured into taking the vaccine. Seems like every time I ask them, one of them, anybody I know that's disabled, they say, yeah, I had to take it for whatever reason. How did you have to take it? You don't even have a job that you have to take it for. So how do you have to take it? Well, then I do some research. They predict for the COVID vaccine to decrease the population by 10 to 15%. Now, run that back to what I was first talking about. I had asked her personally, hey, you took the vaccine or something? She like, yeah, had to. And that explains it. The reason I asked her, though, is because she's a whole different person. I'm going to tell y'all something. The CDC has it on the CDC website where they're telling you how to survive, basically, a zombie apocalypse. I am watching my neighbors turn into the exact zombies they are talking about, man. And I swear to God, if y'all want to take it as I'm crazy, or y'all want to take it as whatever you want to take it there. But trust me, I'm going to be getting my life together. I'm going to be getting my escape routes together. I'm going to get my plans together. I'm going to be getting something together, my safety and my child's safety together. Because if y'all think that zombies and things like that aren't real, I don't know what world you're living in now. People just been letting it go. Now they don't even care. Like, hell, Queen Elizabeth legit shapeshifted. Hell, I'm old now. I'm finna let somebody know. I'm serious. Like, and they threatened to kill her for doing it. I'm telling y'all. The CDC is telling us to get ready for a zombie attack. You shouldn't even be able to put that on a website at all. In a government website, if it wasn't real. They trying to wake y'all up and tell y'all now, y'all not listening. And I'm over here watching my neighbors turn into the zombies that they are talking about.
and we live in Ohio. On January 20th, Maddie received her second dose of the Pfizer COVID vaccine as a participant in the clinical trial for 12 to 15-year-olds. Before Maddie got her final dose of the vaccine, she was a healthy 12-year-old who got straight A's and had lots of friends. She had a life. She was energetic. She was not like this. Upon receiving the second shot, Maddie immediately felt pain at the injection site. And over the next 24 hours, she developed severe abdominal and chest pain. And the way she described the chest pain, and I quote, "It feels like my heart is being ripped out through my neck." She had painful electrical shocks down her neck and spine that forced her to walk hunched over. She had extreme pain in her fingers and toes. It actually made them turn white, and they were cold whenever you touched them. My husband immediately took her to the ER as instructed by the vaccine trial nurse. The diagnosis stated adverse effect of vaccine initial encounter. Over the next 2.5 months, her abdominal, muscle, and nerve pain became unbearable. She had developed additional symptoms that included gastroparesis, nausea and vomiting, erratic blood pressure and heart rate, memory loss. She mixes up words, brain fog, headaches, dizziness, fainting. She fell and hit her head, and then seizures. She developed verbal and motor tics. She had loss of feeling from the waist down and muscle weakness. Drastic changes in her vision, urinary retention and loss of bladder control, severely irregular and heavy menstrual cycles, and eventually she had to have an NG tube put in to get nutrition. So, because they couldn't figure it out, one physician labeled her as having functional neurologic disorder, saying it was due to anxiety. This concerned us, and we didn't agree with it because she doesn't have anxiety. Look at her. I mean, what 13-year-old can sit here calmly, okay, if they have anxiety or mental issues? At one point, they even tried to admit her to a mental hospital. I was fighting doctors trying to get them to listen to what was happening to her and not say she's crazy. Over the past 5 months, Maddie has been to the ER 9 times and has been hospitalized 3 times for a total of 2 months in the hospital. What I want to ask, Maddie volunteered for the Pfizer trial. Why? Why aren't they researching her to figure out why this happened? So other people don't have to go through this. Instead, they're just saying it's mental. I'll be
As a result of my vaccine injury, I was forced into medical retirement at just 46 years old. A career that I loved ended abruptly with no opportunity to choose when or how it would end. These conditions are dynamic, they're evolving, and they're not well understood. This journey ultimately led me to the United States in 2023 and again in 2024 in search of private medical care, specialized diagnostics, selling my dental practice, crowdfunding, and eventually brain surgery with a biopsy to relieve brain compression. $148,000 for the brain surgery alone. I experienced difficulty maintaining upright position, balance impairment, and relentless neurological pain. Sharp electric shocks, burning sensations, zapping, pain, numbness occur every single minute of every single day for 5 years. Brain inflammation, all due to an immune response that has never resolved. Ongoing cystic masses in multiple organs, including my brain. I spent 90% of my life homebound, bedbound.
So she took the vaccine, and the government's response was to seal the vaccine injury files for 15 years. Completely sealed, no access. The video you saw there was a part of something that Dean Allison, the Conservative Member of Parliament, put together, calling for public participation so people can understand what the COVID-19 vaccine injury looks like. He wants to hear from people like this. He wants to ensure that our government doesn't abandon them. And if you don't remember, last year there was so much pressure put on by the conservative government where the Liberals put together a COVID vaccine injury program for about $60 million, and almost 2/3 of that money was spent on administration. It did not go to people like her, who literally paid out of pocket because she kept getting denied care here in Ontario. And Dean correctly said, many politicians of all parties hear from people all the time. Some people lost businesses, some struggle with isolation and mental health problems, others experience severe adverse reactions following the vaccination. That's what they all have in common, a desire to be heard. That is why this conversation matters. And here's an example of a healthy 32-year-old yoga instructor where she got her second shot and now needs a walker and faints 30 times a day. My friends, if you've been injured, speak up. We want to help you. The government needs to hear you.
Looking at the vaccine ingredients, I said, all right, what's this aluminum? And what's this polysorbate 80? And I stumbled on a literature that scared me to death. And the literature that I stumbled on showed that the drug manufacturers have trouble getting a lot of drugs across the blood-brain barrier into the brain. And so in order to maximize delivery of drugs into the brain, they needed a technology that would help when attached to the drug to get it into the brain. So they developed a technology of nanoparticles. They used nanoparticles attached to drugs and showed in animal studies that the drugs went into the brain. Then they took an emulsifier and bound it to the nanoparticle, to the drug, and found in animal studies that it increased penetration into the brain of the drug by 20-fold with the emulsifier. And the emulsifier that they used was polysorbate 80. And so when I saw these articles in the literature, it scared me to death. Because the framework of the technology that's used for most childhood vaccines is that framework. A nanoparticle attached to the bacterial and viral antigens coated by polysorbate 80. And so when asked, when I did my investigation, I said, why is polysorbate 80 in the vaccines? And I was told it's to help disperse the vaccine material away from the injection site. Well, how far, right? Because we know polysorbate 80 can cause infertility, but also can get into the brain. And if it's coating a nanoparticle like aluminum, which is bound to bacterial and viral antigens, then we're not just getting aluminum and polysorbate into the brain, we're getting bacterial and viral antigens or anything else that's attached to the aluminum nanoparticle that's a contaminant in the vaccine. And so people said to me, well, but it's not in the MMR. I said, no, but let's look at what's in the MMR. Sorbitol. Sorbitol, which is a relative of polysorbate 80. I'm not an expert at it. I just read what the science says. The science says, do not inject sorbitol into the body. This is design defect. And this is knowing that they could have made a safer shot because they're using a technology that they already know gets into the brain. And when you have 1 in 6 kids with neurodevelopmental disabilities, you have to scratch your head and say, well, all the studies that were shown here today don't show that in unvaccinated kids.
It decreases the ability to produce white blood cells by 50% from your first vaccine. Then 8 weeks later, which is white blood cell reproductive system, so your ability to make another generation of white blood cells is 8 weeks. That's why they set it up 8 weeks later, to hit it again. So you hit the white blood cell ability while it's down. So now what you do is now they decrease the saline in the second one, and they increase the harmful ingredients. So now you have a shift in the ingredients. So they decrease the saline and increase. So now there's a shift. And then what they do is that second dose attacks your ability to make white blood cells by an additional 25%. So now you only have white blood cell ability, like the ability to make white blood cells functioning at 25%. So you just wiped out 75% of your military and the ability to make that military. Then what they do is they set in the booster. The booster has 81 strands of
foreign bacteria that your cells have never come across. So you don't have the antibodies to fight it, but you only have 25% of your white blood cell production to be able to fight it. So it's a losing battle. So then what starts to happen is you start to get chronic inflammation that goes to the areas that you had predisposition. So if you are someone that has gut health issues, that's your area that is going to focus on, and you're going to have inflammation in the gut health. If it's respiratory, if you have tumor or cancer, or if you have, say, endometriosis, or you have a skin condition, whatever that is, it's going to inflame that area, because now the body has hit the sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight or flight, and the body is in a chronic inflammatory state with a low immunity and a low immune response. Then you get your second booster. What the second booster has is it has 8 strands of HIV. And now what that does is it completely shuts off your ability to make white blood cells. And if you Google what that disease is, it is HIV. So now we have people that are walking around with no immune system, no ability to make an immune system, 81 strands of foreign bacteria, and then also 8 strands of foreign HIV, along with all the other harmful ingredients.
CDC is now admitting that the COVID-19 vaccine was poison and is giving people cancer, and not even just regular cancer, cancers with big ass tumors. So why is it giving everybody cancer? Understand, when you consented because you wanted to be a part of some type of government facility, right, who's here to govern your mental, and you got the vaccine, it turns your DNA to mRNA. So what mRNA is a receiver technology. Right. So what it is basically you've been classified as a cyborg. You're like, if you watch Teen Titans, a little cyborg little thing, that's what's going on internally in your body. You have nanobot technology in your body. Right. And so this is the initial mark of the beast. And this is why they're letting you know now, like, hey, it's poison. But the information was always free. Like, you could go on Google and YouTube and see that they were actually converting DNA into mRNA. And so, this whole, if you paid attention, Bill Gates was heavily invested into the vaccine. The vaccine is connected to the internet, the web, right? The false web. So what they're doing is they're going to control people. See, there's energetic waves that you can't see, but when you open up your third eye and decalcify your pineal gland, you can see more clearly into the other realm. That's why I have eye drops. There's this energetic wave, right, that are coming from these 6G towers and 5G towers, and they are implementing mind control over the people who have got the COVID-19 vaccine with all the boosters. Now, it is some people who did get a series of placebo shots, so they might not experience these same side effects. This was actually the mark of the beast. They use this vaccine to turn people into technology for control, because that's a part of the New World Order. Understand that we're all one, but we're not all the same. And that's what they want in this new world. They want everybody to be the same, like robots. This is why they put robot technology in your body. They want to be able to control you. They don't want you to think for themselves. Their whole thing is for us not to remember who we are, so they can control us. They can siphon our energy. They can siphon our currency, right? Whether that's through a job, right, through anything in this false government that you're doing every day that you don't truly want to do. So yes, of course, the CDC is going to come out and tell you that the vaccine was the biggest, most poisonous thing ever on the planet. And the CDC also came out with how to prepare for a zombie apocalypse prior to the vaccine, right? Because all this shit has been scripted. Welcome to the Truman Show. Everybody's an actor. This already has been planned. The Simpsons show you that. There's an Illuminati card game that shows you all of this is predicted programming. So with that being said, it is important to prepare yourself. Decalcify your pineal gland. Fast and keep your heart as light as a feather, because in this new world, the impure ones will not make it. The beast is literally the COVID-19. That's why a lot of people couldn't escape it if they wanted to, and that's why some people were just protected from the vaccine, because this is the mark that you come from the beast.
And for those of you who don't know me, I have been an activist speaking out against SB 277 here in California.
Wow, what happened to our rights? Yeah. How did I sit back and let this happen? Yeah. This is a very slippery slope.
In this fight, I have been under a little bit of heat, and I wanted to document this just in case. I wanted to show some of the intimidation tactics that I've been under.
There is a lot of shady stuff that goes on behind the scenes.
I got involved in this fight because I used to work for Merck here in Santa Barbara where I live. And I worked there from 2001 until 2003, and I sold Vioxx for Merck. Vioxx was eventually taken off the market, and it was proven that Merck had knowledge that it increased heart attacks and stroke by 2 times, and it injured and killed a lot of people. It was eventually pulled off the market, and I lost a lot of faith in the healthcare system. I went to Europe, and then I came back with a 6-month-old son, and I was bullied at the pediatrician's office. Just last week, a photo of the box of the vitamin K injection that they give, and then also a different company, she sent a picture of the vial. And this is things that we would never see when we actually go into the doctor's office.
Right.
We don't see, they don't tell us in the hospital.
It's just natural. It's vitamin K.
Right. Well, on the box, on one of them, because there are 2 different companies that that make it, well, 3, but anyway, this was 2 of them. The main active ingredient is polysorbate 80, and there are strong links to infertility, to autoimmune issues. Polysorbate 80 is banned in a lot of countries, especially in injectables. And that's the main active ingredient in one of the vitamin K solutions. In the other one, on the vial, it says contains no more than 100 micrograms per liter of aluminum. And you combine that with the Hep B shot, which is 250 micrograms per liter of aluminum. On day 1, our children are getting 350 grams, and if not more. And this is just unheard of. It blows my mind because aluminum has no place in our body. It's a known neurotoxin. It's a heavy metal. It's incredibly difficult to detox from. And we're injecting these into the bloodstream, so it goes straight to the vital organs. It's not like when you ingest something and 60% of it is filtered out through the kidney and the natural detox process. Wow. It goes straight to vital organs. And this is happening on day 1. So it's not surprising that the U.S. leads the developed world in infant mortality rates and day 1 mortality rates. And we seem to think that we have, the best healthcare protocol in the world, and you're not seeing these type of things in other countries. And people need to start questioning this, because what I've really learned doing my research is this is all about profit.
As somebody who got the COVID-19 vaccine multiple times, and as somebody who since 2020 went from perfectly healthy to now incredibly sick, to the point that I even had a near-death experience on June 6th, I feel really fucking stupid right now. I'm at a point now that with my GI issues that I've developed in the past couple of years, that I may need to be put on a feeding tube indefinitely because I cannot keep food or liquids down at this point. I'm gonna have to get a surgery coming up in the next couple of months, and hopefully that helps, and if it doesn't, then feeding tube. And this is just one of the many things that I have gotten since I got that vaccine. I have 3 different autoimmune conditions that just popped up out of nowhere. I developed an insulin resistance while already having type 1 diabetes. That is the one thing that I did have before 2020. I was a type 1 diabetic, but other than that, I was perfectly fine. And when you develop an insulin resistance when you are a type 1 diabetic, it means that your body is not absorbing the insulin that it's supposed to be getting, so it means it's incredibly hard to control your blood sugars, which is why I almost died on June 6th. To say that the COVID-19 vaccine didn't cause these issues would just be scientifically irresponsible. It's very possible that the vaccine could have acted as one of several contributing factors in somebody like me who is already genetically or immunologically susceptible. Or it's possible to say that the COVID-19 was the primary trigger, but we just don't have enough research on that. One thing that Fauci did plead the fifth to was the origins of the COVID-19 vaccine, including the lab leak theory, which is sketchy. But I'm not going to sit here and call myself stupid for this. I'm not going to take accountability for the fact that I was manipulated into taking that vaccine, and let me show you why.
You are the problem. It is the unvaccinated who are the problem.
The only people you can blame, this isn't shaming, this is the truth. Maybe they should be shamed, are the unvaccinated.
Anyone you came into contact with will blame you.
Unvaccinated, a group that includes children and people acting like children.
It's not about freedom or personal choice.
And you're making other people sick, and really you're killing other people.
Back in 2019, I was a raging liberal, and this is all that I was seeing over every news media, all of the media. All of the liberal media was telling me, you need to take the vaccine or else you're a fuck shit person. Liberal media was literally sitting there and morally condemning every single person who didn't get the vaccine. And did I want to be a bad person? No. I was already a type 1 diabetic, so I thought I was in massive danger. I also spent a lot of time with my grandparents who have heart issues. I didn't want them to get sick. I thought I was doing the right thing. The liberal media, the liberals, the Democrats, those motherfuckers scared me and bullied me into getting a vaccine that we knew jack shit about. And now I get to pay for that, I guess. I get to pay for trusting a party who I thought had the best intentions for my health. And now I may have to get put on a feeding tube. If you are one of those people who did not get the COVID vaccine, you should be very proud of yourself for being very strong and smart and resilient and not falling for that bullshit. I do think that God has my back and will watch over me and I will be okay, but never again. Liberals and Democrats and fucking progressives, never again will you do this shit to me. And Republicans and conservatives and MAGA, you guys won't do this shit to me either, but Republicans and conservatives and MAGA, they don't do stuff like that. They don't say stuff like that. They don't force people or bully people into putting something into their bodies like a fucking weird vaccine that we know nothing about. Because Republicans and conservatives and MAGA, I think, have a little bit more up here and a little bit more in here. And as always, you guys have a great day and God bless you.
Before you inject your child a decision that is irreversible, I wanted to let you know the scientific facts about this genetic vaccine, which is based on the mRNA technology I created over 30 years ago. There are 3 issues that I think you as parents and grandparents need to understand. The first is that a viral gene will be injected into your children's cells. This gene forces your child's body to make toxic spike proteins. These proteins can cause permanent damage in children's critical organs. These types of damages include damages to their brain and nervous system, their heart and blood vessels, including blood clots, their reproductive system, and these vaccines can trigger fundamental changes in their immune system that Dr. Cole and I will talk about later. The most alarming point about this is that once these damages have occurred, they are irreparable. You can't fix the lesions within their brain. You can't fix heart tissue scarring. You cannot repair a genetically reset immune system. And this vaccine can cause reproductive damage that could affect future generations of your family. The second thing you need to know about this is the fact that this novel technology has not been adequately tested. We need at least 5 years of testing and research before we can really understand the risks of any new vaccine technology and any new vaccine. Vaccines can cause long-term changes in autoimmune disease. This is true for all vaccines. Harms and risks from new medicines often become revealed many years later. You know that. We're all adults here. We've lived it. We've seen it. It's just the nature of pharmaceuticals. Nothing is perfectly safe. It's kind of true in life in general. Okay, we all understand about risks and benefits. Ask yourself if you want your own child to be part of the most radical medical experiment in human history. This is the largest experiment on human beings that has ever been performed in modern history. A final point. The reason they're giving you to vaccinate your children is a lie. It's a big word, 3 little letters. Your children represent no danger to their parents or grandparents, okay? Sanjay Gupta and Big Bird were wrong. Okay? It's actually the opposite. Their immunity after getting COVID is critical to save your family, if not the world, from this disease. They generate broad natural immunity. That is our best recourse to keep this virus from further evolving to become even more of a superbug and to develop escape mutants. We need those kids to have natural, broad-based immunity for a whole species. In summary, there's no benefit to your children or your family, in my opinion, my professional opinion as a vaccinologist, to be vaccinating your children against the small risks of this virus, which are particularly small with Omicron, given the known health risks of the vaccine that as a parent you and your children may have to live with for the rest of your lives. If your child is damaged, the pharmaceutical industry is protected. We call it indemnification. They can't be sued. The government isn't going to be sued. Sanjay Gupta is not going to come and take care of your kid. You're going to be stuck. You're the one that's going to have to carry the burden, both in terms of caring for your child, and I've seen these children. We'll talk about Maddie DeGarry perhaps later on, wheelchair bound for the rest of her life. Okay? You're the one that's going to have to take care of that. And you're going to have to deal with it emotionally for the rest of your life. In my opinion, the risk-benefit analysis is not even close. As a parent and grandparent, my recommendation to you is to resist and fight to protect your children. That's why I'm here, as I'm trying to save kids' lives. This is the hill I will die on.